No, this issue of mercury means the global ban on mercury. No, this term has been used as the global ban on mercury. I think it should be very clear to all that it is the ban is on the free mercury. Free mercury means the free mercury which is used in the elemental form in different forms, whether it's in the thermometers or in the evaporators or in the electrical bulbs or other like. Now, the mining of the mercury, the harvesting of the mercury from the mines, now that has been stopped, that has been banned under this Minamata convention, and it started from Japan. Now, in the last about 7-8 years, lot of global consultation has happened on this, and now there are many member countries, those who are signatory to the Minamata Convention. India is also signatory to the Minamata Convention, and they have adopted this convention. And when these consultations were happening in our country, from the Ministry of Ayush side, along with my other colleagues, we participated in the discussions, and there was a major point that the free mercury, how the free mercury means to control the environmental pollution, to check the environmental pollution because of mercury. That was the objective, that was the goal of these discussions, that how it can be achieved through the this Minamata convention. Now, just after the signing of this Minamata Convention by Government of India, the nodal department in the Government of India, that is Ministry of Environment and Forest, that is the nodal department, and the nodal officer is also sitting there, who is going to give consent or going to give the permission regarding this import and export of mercury. The notification which has been issued by the Ministry of Commerce Department, DGFT, Director General of Foreign Trade, I think on 9th September 2021. Now, in that notification, that is only for the purpose of import and export. Now, the industry as such, our industry as such, means like the Ayurveda industry or the Unani Siddha industry, I think hardly there is anybody who is directly importing from the other country. And the major importing countries, they are either Japan or from the Spain. From the traders, those who are in the country, from there they procure mercury and then they use it. Now, the issue is that there is a provision, there is an exemption provision in the Minamata Convention, that is the traditional use of mercury, that is exempted. And we have the Government of India or the Ministry of Ayush, we used this exemption clause, and we persuaded with the Ministry of Environment and Forest and with the global authorities. And also now presently there is a studies are being conducted by UNDP about the management of mercury. And I think the UNDP representatives or their teams or their representatives might be coming to the industry, that how the mercury is being used in the Ayush industry, how the medicines are being prepared, and what is the volume of the mercury, quantity of mercury that is being used. And initially, when this Minamata Convention, that was at the draft stage, and at that stage also, the Ministry of Environment and Forest, a communication came to the Ministry of Ayush, and we requested the industry that, okay, give us just an idea that how much mercury is required by our industry. So we could not get the data, but we have given some estimate. So at the time of giving comments on the Minamata Convention, a document which was going to be submitted to the cabinet for approval, because India became the signatory, so the provisions of the Minamata Convention, they were to be adopted by Government of India. So during that consultation, we provided certain comments, and those comments were very specific, that the use of mercury by the Ayush industry, that should be exempted, and that exemption should be granted under a specific provision. That exemption provision is already there in the Minamata Convention, and that was given to us. And due to that only, because we were very much strong in saying that, in convincing the Ministry of Environment and Forest and the other department, that this is very, very important, this mercury use, because there are so many medicines, the classical medicine, rush off these, and the mercury, when it is used in Ayurveda systems or Siddha or Unani system, it is not a free mercury. It is combined with some other elements or some other drugs, whether it is sulfur. Sulfur is the most commonly, and then there is a compound or a complex is formed, and then that is therapeutically safe and therapeutically effective. And there are many pharmaceutical processes which are applied on the mercury, and after that only the product is comes to the market, and then it is consumed by the people. Now, so under that exemption, industry can make use of mercury in the preparation of these Ayurvedic medicines or Unani medicines or Siddha medicine, wherever the mercury is used in the formulation. Now the condition is how to procure mercury. This is the thing, how to procure mercury. Now the free mercury means the mercury which is harvested, which is being harvested from the mines, that is not like to come. The free mercury, only the recycled mercury, means mercury which is already in use. That mercury, when it is not used in any further, or when that product is discarded, means the product made from mercury, or the product in which the mercury is used, if that product is discarded, then that mercury is recycled, and that mercury would be available for the trade. And again, that would be available for import and export. And most likely, I think more than 500 tons of mercury, it comes from Japan. It comes from Japan. It comes from Japan. Now, the issue before us, before our Ayush industry, is that how to be assured of getting mercury for making Ayurvedic formulations, or Unani formulation, or Siddha formulations. The Siddha formulation, they also make very, means there are so many formulations in Siddha system medicines, and there were strong representation from the Siddha industry that mercury should be available to them. And every time, whenever there was a representation, we forwarded that representation from the ministry to the Ministry of Environment and Forest. And every time, whenever we had a discussion with them, and in writing also, that this exemption clause will be applicable, mercury will be available. But how to make available mercury to the industry? This is the question. Now we need to identify the traders of mercury in the country, and definitely that trade would be of the recycled mercury. And that trader, they will have to take the consent, the prior informed consent from the Ministry of Environment and Forest. Under there is a specific form is there, and that is uploaded in the website of the Ministry of Environment and Forest. And this format, application format, or the prior informed consent format, that is mentioned in the notification of this 9th September 2021, which is signed by the Under Secretary Mr. Amit Verma. Now the thing is, the industry needs to approach the DGFT, the Department of Commerce, that who are those traders, and how those traders, they are going to get the permission or the consent for the import of the mercury. Now it is the responsibility of the industry associations. We have so many industry associations, like AMAM is there, ADMA is there, the AMO is there, then there are some regional and the state-wise chapters are also there. But my thought is that whatever you are going to propose, or you want to go with to the government, that but you come up with one voice, and that voice should be that mercury, the smooth supply of mercury to the industry. And that smooth supply means the supply chain that has to be very, very clear, means the industry should not face any difficulty in getting the mercury, particularly the industry who is going to manufacture medicines from mercury. So this is the thing. I think so far we will continue to discuss these issues in small groups. Then we can make a specific a paper which can be submitted to the government. Now, in the government, I think within the Ministry of Ayush, 1.5 years back, I think some of the members of those that committee might be present in the audience today. A committee has been constituted under the Ministry of Ayush and Dr. Savarkar, because he himself is a Raj Shastra expert. He was the chairman of that committee, and that committee was housed in Central Council for Ayurvedic Sciences. Dr. C.K. Katyar was also member, and I think there were some representative from the Siddha industry as well as from the Unani industry and the respective research councils. Now, it is the responsibility of the committee, because very categorically the terms of reference that committee was to advise the government in taking policy decisions regarding the use of mercury by the industry. Right. So when these consultations are going to happen by the industry or other stakeholders about the use of mercury, I think whatever your recommendations or suggestions, I think that should go to that committee. I don't know whether that committee still exists or not, but that was a standing committee, because I was instrumental in notifying that committee, in making that committee. So I know that that was a standing committee for all the times to come. So whatever consultations, but I think there should be one voice. There should not be different voices. And the one voice from my point of view is the industry must get smooth supply of mercury, whether it is recycled mercury or other mercury. Definitely you are going to get only the recycled mercury. What would be the source of that recycled mercury? Who will provide that to the industry? This is the thing. And second is the quantum of mercury which is going to be used by the industry. That is also very important, because unless we specify the quantum of mercury, the amount of mercury which is going to be used by the industry, I think the provider or the other end who is going to supply, so that kind of policy decision or the statutory decision that cannot be taken. A mechanism has to be developed. A mechanism has to be developed for smooth supply of mercury to the Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani industry. The individual industry members, they cannot import. I think that would be difficult for the individual members of the industry to procure mercury from outside, to import mercury from the outside, because there are so many implications, there are so many rules and regulations you will have to comply to. But I think if there is one source in the country from where the industry can directly take, and that source will have to take permission from the DGFT or from the Department of Commerce or from the Ministry of Environment and Forest, from the nodal point, as mentioned in that notification of September 2021. So I would be happy to get involved in all the discussions. I think which Dr. This Pawan Sharma is going to organize, I think, series of consultation. Yesterday also, I was willing to join that consultation with the academia people, but I could not join. But today, many industry stalwarts are there. Dr. JP Singh, I'm seeing Dr. JP Singh is also there from Northern India, from Amritsar. He's a Punjab ADMA chapter president, active members. The recommendations this committee or these discussions you are going to make to the Ministry of Environment or to the Ministry of Ayush, I think these should be very, very focused, and it should be outcome oriented. Don't make vague recommendations, diffuse recommendations, only objective based direct recommendations, and that recommendation should be aimed at getting smooth supply of mercury to the Ayush industry. This is the thing. So with these words, I thank all the participants here and the organizers that are giving me the opportunity to interact with you and to say a few words. Thank you very much. Shastri has spoken. I think he very rightly said that industry should not be worried about why mercury is required for Ayush industry. They should be worried about the sustained supply of mercury. That is important. I have heard all the discussions, particularly the inputs from Dr. Shastri, Mr. Ranjit Puranik, and then Mr. J.P. Sharma, Shyam Sundarji, and Dr. Ghalib. Now, a lot of things are happening in our country with regard to this, the classical formulations, the pharmacovigilance program, where this adverse drug reaction reporting system that has also been developed, and a network of institutions has been developed for reporting the adverse drug reactions. Now, but these are only sporadic cases, individual cases, not the signals are not coming from different sources that our drugs are not safe. Now, so I think now this is the initiation. This is the initiation from today's program. I think we have started from somewhere. We still need to ponder over this issue, and we should bring out very strong recommendations, but very focused recommendations. What is required? What is required to be done? As far as the exemption of that exemption provision in the Minimata Convention, I think that is available to Ayush, that is available to Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani, and homeopathy industry. Now the important point is how to get the supply of mercury, and it is I think the recycled mercury. I think somewhere I think one of the participants in the this today's session pointed out that what is the difference between recycled mercury and the original mercury. I think there is no difference. Mercury is an element, so the properties are not going to be different. Recycled mercury, it is an element, and whether it is harvested from the mines or whether it is coming in a recycled manner, I think the properties are not different. It is the process, pharmaceutical process of Ayurveda, that is important. So the pharmaceutical process, if it is applied in the same way as written in our authoritative literature in the Raj Shastra, I think the medicines have to be, they will come out to be safe and therapeutically effective. Now, if you see the WHO, the strategy for the development of the traditional medicine, the focus is on safety, efficacy, and quality. I personally feel that the safety and efficacy, I think it is subsumed within quality. If I say quality product, it means it is safe, it is effective, and it meets the standards. Now, in case of Raj Aushadhis, particularly those made from mercurial, the mercurial formulations or the mercury-based formulations, just 2.5 years back, a very good publication has been brought out by Ministry of Ayush. I was instrumental in coordinating for that that committee, and then we bring out that publication, that is safety profile of Ayurvedic formulations. I think 28 formulations are there in that document, which has been published by Ministry of Ayush, and this was done by the Research Council, Ayurveda Research Council. It contains 28 formulations, and very sophisticated scientific studies have been done on those formulations, and most of them they are based on mercury formulations. I think more such work needs to be done. We have to put the safety aspects of our mercurial formulations in the public domain. That is very, very important, and in putting in the public domain can only be done if we do proper documentation, scientific writing. The studies have been done in different institutions, whether industrial institutions or in the postgraduate institutions or by the individual scientists, but those are not in public domain, and many of the studies, they are not published. They are not documented. So I think a scientific paper about the use of mercury in Ayurveda, evidence-based use of mercury, I think that will provide a support, that will provide a strong support in making our claim that why mercury is required for Ayurveda, Siddha, and Unani industry. So that I think that thrust has to be given to this aspect, this attempt. And then once it is done, a base paper or a white paper about the use of mercury in Ayurveda, Siddha, and Unani drug industry, and particularly with the focus on the classical, the time-tested medicines. Okay, the medicines which are tested in the laboratory of life, I think they are more safe than those formulations which are developed in the scientific laboratories. I think 3,000 years of evidence of use of these medicines. Why the industry is manufacturing this? Because the people they are using, they are consuming, they are purchasing from the market and they are using. Yeah. So, and once the products developed by one pharmacy, they are put into the market and the people they are purchasing and using them. And again, it means the demand is there. So, and the pharmaceutical processes which we apply for the manufacturing of our mercury-based formulations, they are therapeutically safe and therapeutically effective. Now, so a paper has to be written, means with a strong claim that we have scientific evidence about the safety and efficacy of mercury, and that is why mercury is required by the industry. And for that purpose, I think sustained supply of mercury is also required. No, this is one aspect. I think this is the intention we want to we roll into, and we want to get the outcome. Now, on the other hand side, now if you see the Biological Diversity Act, and if you see the Forest Act and the other Wildlife Act, there are certain simple things which the industry is also not getting. The staghorn is not getting, deer horn not getting. Then this the coral, praval. No, so same kind of challenge we will have to face, because the mercury, it is a global issue. The coral is not a global issue. Coral is not a global issue. Staghorn is not a global issue. It is only the national issue within the country, because our acts, whether it is Wildlife Act or the Indian Forest, they do not allow the free trade or the free trade of this coral or other things. So we also need to address those issues. The industry must get the raw materials which are required for the manufacturing of the classical formulations, and the important ingredients for the classical formulations is one mercury, then the coral, then the staghorn. Very important therapeutic formulations are manufactured from these ingredients. So we need to convince the government. We need to convince the nodal departments in the central government that the sustained supply of these ingredients is required. Not only mercury, the other things. We are when I was in the ministry for the last about 10 years, we continuously means we persuaded this issue, and I think now 90 or 95% of the work has been done. It is only some kind of notification or some kind of resolution should come from the department that, okay, if some agency in the government sector is identified by the government who can supply the powdered staghorn, not the original staghorn. So similarly, I think some agency, the government agency can also take over the work of supplying mercury to the industry. So I think there should not be multiple traders or multiple sources for supplying mercury to the industry. I think there should be one source. Otherwise, for the individual industry, it will be very, very difficult to comply to the regulations and to comply to the rules and this international trade regulations regarding this this import and export of mercury. So that would be cumbersome. But if within the country the government gets ready to set up an agency or to give the responsibility to some already existing agency who can procure mercury, whether by import or within the country, and that could be the one source who can supply mercury to our industry. And the processed mercury also, Shuddh mercury, Shuddh Parad. I think because the Shodhan of mercury, it is again a very lengthy and tedious process. So many steps are there. So if all these steps are already taken care of, then the industry will directly use that mercury either in the form of hingul or in the form of a Shuddh Parad directly into the formulation. So these are some of the suggestions, I think, which need to be kept in mind while preparing the paper, by preparing the recommendations which you are going to make to the government. So with these words, I thank all the participants here for listening to me, and also to all the organizers for having invited me and to participate in this discussion. I'm really happy to share my views. Thank you very much.